Okay, welcome to the You Matter Show podcast. I'm Mark Bradinsky, host of the You Matter Show podcast, a podcast where we are focused on helping people believe that they matter because the deepest principle of human nature is the craving to be appreciated. And too few people do feel like they matter. So, the whole purpose of this broadcast and this podcast is to bring people into the fold, let them tell their stories. And so you understand that everybody does matter, and hopefully their story inspires you. I'm crazy excited today to invite in Parita Patel. I've known Parita for a couple of years now, an insurance company that we are both part of, and have told her story before on my blog, Storytelling for Business. Wanted to update everybody with Parita's story, and she's got a great story to tell. So, first of all, welcome, Parita, to the You Matter Show podcast.
Thank you so much, Mark. It's an honor to be here.
Thank you. It's great having you. It's amazing what you've been accomplishing these past couple of years. And I was looking at your Instagram page just a few minutes ago. So your message there is motivating women in business and in life. I know that's important to you, and it's a focus that you have every single day. But I want to talk about first is a couple of things. I always open up with these two questions, which is tell us and share with the audience here, what would you consider your greatest challenge and greatest accomplishment in life so far?
Yeah. Life is going to always throw challenges at us. It never seems to end when you feel like you've accomplished one thing. Here's another curveball for you. So I know that I've probably just really started because it's still just me right now. Eventually I hope to have a family, a significant other, and I can imagine that those challenges that come with that is going to be even more difficult. So right now it's just me taking care of me and obviously my family as well. I was presented with an opportunity with the insurance space that I'm in right now to, try and beat all the odds because it had never been something that a female had accomplished to be number one in the country and hold the title of being the top producer for the whole year. And that was something that, I wanted to rise to the occasion and see if it was something I can accomplish last year. And we did that. And it was obviously something that really inspired a lot of women since then, because the trickle effect of something like that, when you go from thinking something's impossible and then you do it and now everybody sees what's possible, I've seen more and more women just push themselves further and not allow anything to really hold them back. Because I think that we do that a lot, as women, is we might have those self-limiting beliefs. I think everybody has some of them, but now that they see what's possible, I see them doing better and better than they've previously done, which is amazing.
You're showing the way. And yes, Parita was number one in the nation, the insurance company that she's a part of and I'm a part of. So congratulations on that. And you didn't just become number one, you blew it out of the water. So the fact you did, and congratulations again. So the fact that you did that, then again, other people are inspired by that. Because if one person can do it, now we see that anyone can do it if they actually have the same mindset you do and put in the time and effort to make that happen. It's like the 4 minute mile until Roger Bannister
Exactly.
broke that mark. No one thought they could do it. As soon as he did, I think it was like 50 some people in that first year did the
Yep.
same thing. So we're all
Exactly what I was
capable.
thinking.
Go ahead.
No, that's exactly what I was thinking about Roger Bannister. When one does it, then now you see what's possible.
Because we're human, as human beings, we're capable of amazing feats. And we just have limiting beliefs that we put on ourselves and think that this can't happen. But when you do it or when anyone does it and shows people the way, it's incredible what can be accomplished. So give us your mindset that past year to become number one in the nation. What was your secret, Parita? I mean, what's the mindset that you have to carry every single day to make something like that happen?
I think when I decide to do something, that's where the power really lies for me. And when people want to achieve something, they say, I want to do something. And wanting something versus having to do it, not giving yourself an option of not doing it, are two very different things. So for me, it wasn't I want to be number one. For me, it was I'm going to be number one. And I'm not going to let anything get in the way of that happening. No possible distraction. If it was my family that needed me for something, I made them very sure that they understood this is my priority. If it's not an emergency, I'm not going to be a part of anything that you need right now. There was no vacations. There was no downtime. There was nothing, because if I took one day off and that one day would have made the difference between me achieving what I wanted to achieve and not, I would have never been able to forgive myself. So for me, the mindset was, is you don't have a choice, Parita. This is what you're going to do. And I think that's where a lot of people, maybe they just don't go all in on something. But that was what was the biggest deciding thing for me, is that I decided I'm going all in. And anything else that does not allow me to achieve this goal will not be a part of my life.
It's all in or nothing, right? If you go after something, you got it right. There's no excuses, no taking a step back. It's all moving forward. So you have a focus, you go after it, and you sacrifice and you sweat, right? And you suffer, because anyone that does anything great has to meet those three criteria, because the greatest ideas or the brightest ideas come on the darkest nights. And so when you're fighting to make something happen, you have to go all in and not let anything deter you from your goal. And that's what you did. So once again, just so proud of your efforts and accomplishments. But let's talk about something. This is the You Matter Show podcast, right? So it was about a year ago. I think I was looking on my phone here to a text that we had August 5th. I believe this was last year. It could have been 2 years ago. I think it was last year, though. I had sent you a You Matter Show shirt. I was sending some people I told stories about on my blog just as a thank you, sent out these You Matter shirts. And when you got yours, you sent me a text. I asked if you got it and would you take a selfie from my Instagram page? And you said, it's funny because a majority of the time I don't feel like I do matter. I'm constantly told that I'm not duplicatable and often feel like I'm not giving much value. And if anything, there's more resentment towards my success than there is inspiration. It's been a really hard year. So the message brought tears. Talk about that. I think it might have been 2 years ago this happened, as you were striving to actually, get your feet firmly in place here. But no matter what, you were still one of the top in the country even before last year. So tell me about how or why would you think that in the midst of so much success that you're having, that you felt that way?
Actually, now that you read that back to me, I remember exactly when it happened, and I know exactly what I was going through back then. It was in the middle of the year, and it was last year, because I remember I took that picture in my St. Pete apartment. So it was right before I moved out. And that was around a time when I was deciding whether or not I wanted to continue to stay in leadership. So I have a team. I have about almost 50 agents, 45 agents right now. And last year I had a team of maybe around 10 to 12 agents. So, I was literally just had my review, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I was informed that, Parita, you're super successful, but the level of success that you have is not something that anybody else can really experience the way you're doing it, because you've worked with a very specific niche, and your system and how you do business is just simply not duplicatable. So I had let these words that were said to me really allow me to doubt myself and not feel good about what I was actually trying to do, because I think leadership is the most important job in the whole world. Whatever version of that exists, whether it's in a company or at home, you're a leader at home if you're a parent, right? So when I was, being in this leadership role, and I had someone tell me that people might not want to work with you because they think that you don't do enough, or you're not teaching them a different way, or they're not as successful as you. So there was resentment there. That made me really doubt whether or not, I was doing something right by being in that role, because people didn't want to work with me. And when you know me, you know that I care more than anything. Like, I might be doing well in the insurance space, but if my team is not doing well, then what is it all for? Nobody wants to be at the top all by themselves. You want to bring people up with you. So I was told by my leadership that, hey, people might not want to work with you. I don't know if you should stay in leadership next year, maybe think otherwise. That's when I genuinely felt like everything I'm doing really just didn't seem to matter. And you're always being challenged to continue to achieve, continue to push yourself, continue to hit the numbers. If you're in sales, it's a numbers game. So when I'm constantly being pushed and then it doesn't feel like it's enough, I think that was that place that I was in at that time. So we don't tell ourselves enough that we matter. We don't feel enough on a regular basis on our own. And then if we get a message like that from the outside, then it really just doubles the effect of it. So for you to say, Parita, you matter, what you're doing, what you're saying matters, and for me to receive that message from you completely turned me right side up, right at the time when I probably needed to hear it the most, Mark. So, I really do appreciate the message and what we're doing here with the You Matter movement, because I think it's very lacking in people's lives.
And too many people, again, don't feel like they do in any given moment. And it's not, you don't walk around, it's all sunshine and roses all day long. And I'll tell you one other thing, though, and this is anyone who's ever done anything successful, right? You're going to have haters, right? You're going to have people that are jealous, that or just feel left behind. And their only reaction is to kind of try to tear you down a little bit, because they are envious of what you're accomplishing and don't believe in themselves enough to do it. So telling them they matter also makes a difference as well. But those two words, yeah, they mean a lot, because at any given moment, we don't know how someone is feeling,
Yeah,
because everyone you'll ever meet in your entire life is going through something. But
agreed.
there's also carrying crabs in your life, even people that are in close in your life, right, and support you. Sometimes family say, hey, you know what, you can't do this. Why are you doing this? Is it really worth it? Is it going to make a difference? Why even go after this? Did you have any of that where people close to you said, you know what, Parita, maybe you should just, take it down a notch and not try so hard because you're working too hard and you're missing out on parts of life? Did you have that kind of response at all?
Absolutely. I mean, even before I even started this opportunity, I didn't have any support from my family. I didn't have support from, my now ex-husband, because the hours that was required here, and, they just didn't see that translating well. And prior to joining the insurance space, I was in the fitness space. And I had probably spent about 4 years really just like dedicating myself and working the 80-hour weeks. And it was a startup company, so I wasn't making any kind of money. And then unfortunately, that opportunity didn't survive. Obviously, with COVID, a lot of gyms and fitness places shut down. So what happened is my own, family and my closest people, they basically lost faith in my own ability to choose for myself, is what it felt like. And so they were like, we don't think that this is the right path for you. We don't think that this is going to work out. Maybe you should do something, just do like a 9 to 5, go back to corporate America. Like, they wanted me to go with something that would be safer versus being self-employed and, being in my own on my own path. So, the funny thing is 3 4 months later, after they started to see the success that I was creating, every single one of them came back to me and apologized and said, we're really glad you didn't listen to us, and we're really glad that you didn't end up not trying, and we admire you for believing in yourself even though you felt so down after what you had been going through. And this year I was able to buy my parents a home, so it's like, even looking at how far we've come since then, like what a difference that's made. And imagine if I did listen to them, and I think a lot of people don't have as much confidence in themselves a lot of times, and that's when someone's outside message really takes a toll, is if you don't feel that solidified strength and grounding that you need, and that's when, if anybody makes you feel some type of way, it's only going to allow it to actually exist in you if you already have some sort of insecurities. So it really does start with us. But yeah, I had a lot of doubters in the beginning.
If you're doing anything great, again, they're going to be people that doubt, hate, or just are envious of what's happening. And I mean, your story is no different than anyone, like I talked about, who's done anything significant in their lives. And then the outcome is the same thing you talked about, which they come back later and say, and apologize and go, oh, I see all your success now. I guess maybe we were wrong. Because they just don't have the fight inside of them, and whatever they've been told that have limited their ability to go after big things in life, they're just still fighting it. It's actually called running parachutes. You got things that pull you from behind, that you drag behind you, that just don't allow you to live the best possible life that you could. And getting rid of those, just demolishing those running parachutes, can really allow you to live the life you've always dreamed of.
Right.
So congratulations to you. So I'll follow up with this, because later on, we had a text conversation, and you followed up with the message, and you said, in a world where we don't stop for virtually anyone or anything, or take enough time to enjoy one's accomplishments, or recognize the greatness we have achieved, to say that it's nice to hear you matter is an understatement. This means so much to me, because it tells me that what I'm working towards is not just something to impact me and me alone. I matter to all those around me, and even the ones not here just yet. The feeling I get from these words is the same feeling I get when I'm being hugged. And I want others to feel that sense of peace too, even if it's just for a moment. So I will pass that message along, because we do matter. Beautiful. So way to follow up with that, because that's what you inherently believe, even though at one point you were being told that you don't. Tell us a little bit about your family life. I mean, I know you're very close with your parents and your siblings. Tell us your origins and what it means to you, what family means to you, because I can tell from everything that I see out there and just talking to you, off this podcast, that it's so important to you, because family is your base in life, your foundation.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my parents sacrificed a lot to be able to give us the opportunity that exists in America. We're first generation here, and my dad growing up didn't even have a dad. He was raised by his mom. And so she was one of the hardest working women I've ever heard and met, thankful that I did have that opportunity, because she was probably working 100 hours a week, very, very in the poverty world. And they were back in India when that happened. So I've heard stories growing up about how little my parents had. And, my dad was able to build a name for himself and educate himself, because he obviously didn't have any kind of support in that realm either, because they just didn't have very much. So he did everything he could to bring us here to the US and give us a chance, and I think that that's the number one thing that I'm most grateful for, is like, this is an opportunity. So that's why I feel like my whole life I've been like, well, this is what I have. I need to make the most of it, because I know a lot of people don't have opportunities like this. So that's why family is so important, is because I know how much they sacrificed and what they did to help me get here. I definitely don't give them that much time these days, because I'm still focused on, building and helping grow. And, they're actually overseas right now. They're doing like a European tour, and they're just living it up and having a great time. And I'm thankful that I was able to help them go, because I'm financially so stable. And now that they're able to be retired and enjoy and go see the world, and that's something that I can give back to them. And I've always looked at kids as an investment, right? You're giving them all of your time and your energy, obviously financial take, and then one day you would hope to get an ROI on that investment. And so I'd like to thankfully say to my family, like, hey, this is a good return on your investment in me. So that's why family is so important, because we came into this world alone except with your family, right? And if you don't have them in your life, then what else really matters, other than giving back to the people that actually helped you grow.
And help you grow, and you hope that those people that are your family make you do feel like you matter. Unfortunately, some people don't, but for the most part, I think it's a foundation for everybody. And if it's a good foundation and the people around you, support and love you, then you do feel like you matter, and it should be a base for you to build from that and go out there in the world. And like I said, give an ROI too at some point to your parents. I can't wait for my daughter. Well, they're already doing it for me, but they really are. A return on that investment. But it is, like I said, children are an investment, a very important investment, the most important investment you make in your life, probably besides yourself, right? Because you've got to, and I know you do this, work on you, because one of the most important investments and most important, what's the word I would say? I guess investment's the best word you're going to make, is focusing on you and your self-care and what you have to do to be able to accomplish things like you've done. So talk about that a little bit in terms of making sure that you matter. You have to work on you, right?
Absolutely. And I mean, it's simple things too. It's like the bare essentials is something I think people stray away from, like reading. There's how many books, I don't even know how many books there are in the world, but you have all these people that have had experiences where they've learned something from something, right? So, and they put that in a book. So why wouldn't I try to learn from other people that have actually been able to expand their minds? And I think that that's what is one of my favorite things to do to be able to grow as a person, is to just gain perspective. And I like to read really old books. Like I was reading a book on philosophy, and just the different kind of teachings from various philosophers, like Aristotle and Plato, and like, because the original thoughts that existed are what are building what we think about today, right? And it's just an upgraded version in today's generation versus the original thoughts from back in the day, but the concepts are really the same. Even when you look at like motivational speakers, they draw all of their information from previous people who did it. So I think people need to continue to educate themselves and grow, and do things like listen to a podcast and spend time actually trying to learn as much as possible. Like my idea of a perfect date is to go to like an art museum or the science museum, because I just love learning and challenging myself a little bit differently. And then self-care is also going to be looking like, relaxing. And I need to do a better job of that, because I know that I work really hard, but I'm pretty sure that my body could use some sun right now, and just some vitamin D, and listening to the birds chirp, things like that. And those are all really important things that people probably don't do enough, because we're always just on the go. But then life will go right by and you won't even know what happened.
You have to schedule it. Let's be honest. Take 15
Agreed.
minutes, walk outside, take your shoes off, walk in the grass, get close to earth. Take
Yep.
15 minutes to read the book, to read 5 pages a day, just to make progress in those areas. It's it's simple, it's not easy, because like I
Right.
said, you get caught up in life, but the simple things are actually easy to schedule. If you actually put them in your schedules, you say, oh, I'm going to stop down and take 10, 15 minutes, just walk outside and breathe fresh air. That does make a difference in your life. It's funny you talked about philosophy, because I read this book every day, and we didn't set this up, but it's called the Daily Stoic. So for the people who are watching this, they can see it. But the Daily Stoic are
Yeah.
meditations of wisdom, perseverance, and the art of living. Um, and it's amazing. It's just straightforward philosophy. Every single morning, I read the one page for that date, and it always makes me stop and think for 30 seconds about who I am, what I'm doing, and what's important. And we all need to get grounded every single day, because if not, you get lost in the whirlwind of life, and that can just become a tornado if you let it.
Yeah.
So
Um,
go ahead.
no, I was going to say the book that really sparked that for me was Teachings of Marcus Aurelius, and he does go back a lot to Stoicism, right? That's how you say it.
Yep.
So I love that. I'm actually going to go order that on Amazon as soon as we get off.
It's really great. It's my second year doing it too, and it does. I mean, you're not going to remember them, but it grounds you in the morning to say, hey, this is what I need to do today, or what I need to think about not doing, which
Yeah.
is get lost in the, like I said, in the whirlwind of life, and focus on the things that matter: my character, my loyalty, my honesty, making sure I'm caring for other people, not getting lost in the crap that goes on around you, but
Yeah.
focus on what it is you need to do for you. I know you just, I think you work so hard. I know you just got kind of back into working out and exercising for yourself too, because in the year that you were having, it was difficult to schedule that in, right? And I'm sure that getting back to exercise has also energized you, and gotten you back to a place where you feel like you're healthy again and can do even greater things.
Yeah. And I think that I learned something recently. I heard it from David Goggins. He said, perform without purpose. And it really just like changed my perspective, because I've always had like a goal that I'm working towards. Now, the problem with that is if you accomplish that goal, afterwards you almost feel lost. Like, okay, well, now what? If I don't have something else that's epic that I'm going after, I don't know what I'm doing with my time. And I would set a schedule, and I'd have, well, I want to look like this, or I want to be this strong by a certain time frame. But then it's great to set goals to give you a path or some sort of guidance, but performing without purpose means that you want to build yourself into a state that no matter what the goal is, no matter what the challenge is, you're going to be able to achieve it, or at least work towards it, and not be completely crumbled by it. So I'm trying to shift my perspective, that it's not just that I want to gain X amount of pounds of muscle. It's that I want to be strong consistently daily, where if I am, there's not going to be a zombie apocalypse anytime soon, but if something were to happen, I can handle it, right? But yeah, last year when the goal was to be the number one producer, again, every hour mattered so much that I knew I was just going to sacrifice that gym time. Not recommending that, of course, but it was a part of what I just felt like I needed to do, with the fact that I wanted to succeed, and that for me every hour really did matter. So, but now, yes, going back into it, building back into my routine, it's going to be such a huge part of long-term growth, and longevity and health as well is so important.
Health and fitness are number one in my book in terms of my values. So it's important to focus on that. If you want to live a long life, you got to work on those things too. Because financial success is great, and it should be, because it's a tool, like you said, to be able to do all these different things. It's not the money; it's what the money does, right?
Right.
Allow you to send your family different places, buy them a home, have financial freedom. It takes the pressure off. So that's
Yeah.
it's great that they've been able to accomplish that.
Yeah, and I think, they say money doesn't buy happiness, but it can prevent it if you don't have it, and it sure helps because it does give you also access. Like, because I have the funds, I can do more with my business. I can give myself more opportunities. It's not about all the flash and all the things. Yes, those things are nice. I do love my car, I'm not going to lie. But is it the most important thing? No, of course not.
It's fun. It's
It's
fun.
fun. Yes.
So talk about motivating women. So that's been your theme, I think, the past year or so. Tell us a little bit more about that, because you want to make sure that women know that they matter, right?
Absolutely. A lot of times we're told that we're just very emotional beings, and it's said in a way that it's almost a negative connotation. But, I think that it's I always say to people, I say, my emotions are my superpower. If you can channel them and allow them to fuel you rather than allow them to deter you from what you're working towards, then you're going to win. So I think by constantly just openly communicating when I'm feeling whatever I'm feeling, if it's good, if it's bad, if it's positive, if it's any type of feeling I'm having, I'm just openly communicating that without fear to show people that it's okay. Because I think that's the first step, is to let people know you're allowed to feel what you're feeling, but once you've felt it, don't allow it to take you away from the things that you're trying to achieve or trying to accomplish. If anything, you want to use that and channel that energy in the right way. So women being told that we're emotional, that we, get distracted from that, that's what I'm trying to show them we don't need to do, because I think that women have a skill set that is so incredible. We're super organized, we're super engaging, we can get emotion from people, and these are things that not everybody can do, but we can use it as a strength instead of having it be something people see as a weakness. So my message is, let's look at it that way. And so far it seems to be really helping people.
I'm sure. And look, we're all emotional beings. Doesn't matter if you're men or women. We make
Yes.
decisions based on emotion. No one's ever made a rational decision their entire life. You make an emotional decision, then you rationalize it. It might come in 0.1 seconds later, it might come in a day later, but we're all emotional beings. You can't avoid it. But it's going from emotional resilience, I think, to mental toughness.
Yeah.
So you use the emotions to build that mental toughness. So no matter what happens, you can bounce back from it. Like you said, there's probably not a zombie apocalypse coming just yet, but you want to be ready for that at any given moment. So you could be one of the people that survives to bounce back. Les Brown has a great line. He says, if you fall, land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. And that's what it means to develop emotional resilience and mental toughness. So that you're encouraging women to do that, but it's really for anybody. I mean, to believe that you matter, you have to develop those skills and that mindset. I mean, I listened to something today. It was great on the Ed Milet show podcast. I forget the doctor's name, but she talked about the fact that we all have a mind and a brain. And we all think the brain is what drives our actions, but the mind is what does it. The brain will do whatever it is that the mind tells it. And the mind's kind of really tied to your soul. So it's something to think about. What are you doing inside of yourself to be able to make better decisions and to handle things that happen in your life? And you have to develop that tough skin and that toughness to be able to handle what comes your way. And that'll allow you to do great things, because you're going to face obstacles. They're going to be things that get in your way. That's what life is hard. It's beautiful, but it's hard. So how do you fight back? And I think it's great that you're inspiring women to do that, not just in business, but in life in general. And I saw a quote on your Instagram page said, your mindset is the compass that determines your direction in life. Choose positivity, resilience, and growth. I think that's a great message for everybody.
Thank you. Yeah, I think that you could be in a situation and, it might be cliche, but glass is either half empty or half full, right? So it's, what version of that do you want it to be? And are you going to be able to rise above what the difficulty is and adversity is? Are you going to use it to fuel you for growth, or are you going to let it crumble you? So
Exactly. It's all about moving forward. Whatever progress you can make, Parita, and you're proving it every single day. Again, it's just amazing and exciting to see all your success. So what's next for you? What's your next goal? And then I'll ask you one more question after that, but what's the next goal for Parita Patel to hit? And then not obviously stay there and say, oh, I hit this, what next? But what is going to drive you forward these next, couple of years?
Absolutely. And I think right now I'm still in the insurance space. I don't see myself leaving that anytime soon, especially as my team continues to expand and grow. And, my own individual success doesn't feel nearly as good anymore. But when I see my agents succeed, when I see them change their lives and be able to take care of their families and their loved ones, like that to me is the most fulfilling thing. So for me, it's continuing to build them and build up their future. I don't know if I ever told you this in the past, Mark, but one of my personal dreams is to be able to do public speaking and, be able to talk and work with students as well, and eventually have my own TED Talk. So I'm starting to dabble a little bit into that and finding ways to network with people. And hopefully I can get myself a couple of speaking engagements soon, because I think that would be something very cool for me to be able to grow. But on the business side, definitely helping the team. On personal side, things like that. And then I'm allowing myself to live life again. And that's something that I haven't done for the last 2 years. So I am freezing my eggs and I want to have kids in the future, and that's going to be something that's going to take its toll, but I need to do that, and eventually start looking into a personal life, having somebody in my life and building a family, things like that. So those are all pretty important things to me, and for me to mention them hopefully shows like it's something I'm going to work for, because you can't just have a family and have kids, right? You have to actually put energy and effort into these things. A flower doesn't grow if there's no water being provided to it. So it's like I have to do that. But it's going to be a big part of my future. And if I don't plan for that now, I know it won't happen.
And thoughts are things. You got to fall in love first before you get all that, have all that other stuff happen. Right? But you'll be a tremendous speaker. You already, anyone who's watching this can see your presence, your smile, the way the way you present yourself to the world. I know you'll be a powerful speaker doing that. And so you can even use this podcast maybe as a way to send it out and say, hey, look what I've done just on this You Matter Show podcast. So last question, what advice would you give to people that are suffering, that don't believe that they matter right now? Men or women, children, what does Parita Patel say to those people that are just looking for a little inspiration to kickstart their own drive inside of them?
Yeah, I know a lot of people believe in the word manifesting. I believe in understanding that when you're in this situation, it's going to be the most difficult thing at that moment in your life. Like it's going to feel like nothing's ever going to get better. It's going to feel like, oh my God, this is happening to me. So while you're in it, yes, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be painful, but we always get through things. We always continue to, like, life will continue to go on. And at some point you will be okay. You'll come on the other side of that. So knowing that that's the case, manifesting might not be the right word, but it's like, imagine what it's going to be if you get through the situation that you're in right now. If you're not feeling like you matter, if you're not feeling like you're succeeding, you want to stop and think, well, what will it look like when I do? What will it look like if I can feel good about myself? And then think about that and imagine that and feel the energy of what that brings to you, and then allow yourself to get through that situation. So I think that people just get so caught up in it, like, oh my God, I feel so bad, this is happening. Okay, that's part of life, but you're gonna get through it. And if you remember that, I think that you'll be okay. And that's something people need to hear, is that everything's gonna be okay. It always ends up being okay. So
it does end up being okay. And you have two choices. You can either go through it, you can grow through it. Yes. And what all people also need to know is that your struggle is your gift that the world will fall in love with, because sharing your scars teaches other people that they can do it too. And then maybe that's the most incredible thing ever, is that whatever it is that you're going through and you think, I can't get through this, or I'm just immersed and I'll never get out of it. Like I said, imagination is the preview of life's coming attractions. So imagine yourself on the other side of it, what that looks like and feels like. And hopefully that helps inspire you to get through whatever it is that you're handling. We all go through things. Everyone, like I said, you ever meet in your entire life is going through something. So what can you do to get through it? Not over it, under it, or around it, but actually bust through it so you can get to the other side and see the beauty of that once you cross over. And everyone can do it. Everyone can do it. So Parita, thank you so much for your time here. It's great having you on. I couldn't wait to make this happen. Much continued success. I'm sure we'll stay in touch. But this is Parita Patel, and this is the You Matter Show podcast. I'm Mark Bradinsky, host of this You Matter Show. And I really thank everyone for joining us today. And we will be seeing you soon. So take care. Thanks, Parita.